Now, a lot of people wonder, what is the key to happiness? How do I become happy? And that's a question that only you can find yourself. You can't rely on somebody else or external factors to determine if you're happy or not. Happiness comes from within. It does not come from outside. And that's something that a lot of people seem to have trouble with understanding. They see other people who have a lot less than them and think, oh, how can they be so happy? What do they have that makes them so happy? But they don't seem to look within and think about what makes them happy or unhappy. So the question that you need to ask yourself is, why do I feel unhappy? What about my life makes me feel unhappy? And I think you really have to sit there and think about it before you can come up with an answer, because a lot of times you have to change the way you think about life around you to really determine what makes you happy or what can make you happy in this life. And I really think it comes down to just adopting a different mental model to fix the way you perceive the world around you. Because a lot of times it comes down to perception. It is your perspective on the things in your life and the world around you that determines how you feel about your own life. So if you constantly have a negative attitude towards everything in your life, then it's going to be very hard to find happiness, because you're always resorting to negativity and trying to make excuses for why you feel bad about things all the time, and it causes you to adopt victim mentalities and the belief that everybody else around you has things that you don't have, when in reality it's just not true. It's what you've conditioned yourself to believe. So really you have to look deep down within. And one exercise that's really helped change the way my mind thinks is gratitude journaling. So everybody has something that they can build off of in their life already. Everybody has a foundation to their structure. So the first thing you need to do is, you can obviously say, well, I'm grateful that I'm alive, because everybody is alive who is consciously aware of their negative feelings. So you have to start there, and you have to think about the basic fundamentals of what you have in life. Like, okay, you have a roof over your head, right? Not everybody has that. So that is something that you have that you can feel grateful for. And you can slowly transcend your way up the ladder towards more general things like items and statuses, privileges, what you have access for, the people that you're able to talk to, because we all have people that are capable of communicating with us. Unless you completely live isolated out in the mountains, everybody has somebody that they can reach towards, whether if it's family, friends. There's always somebody out there for somebody to reach to. So you can be grateful for the connections you have. And what this does is, when you realize that you have more than you think, when you actually think about positive, you'll see that you have the foundation towards furthering yourself in life and achieving a more permanent state of happiness. And you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you feel like you're not your best, but don't mistake that for not feeling happy. But the one thing that you need to be aware of when you're having a bad day is that you have to tell yourself that it's a bad day, not a bad life. Because if you slip a little bit and you let those negative thoughts win, it's going to drag you back down into bad habits and negative thinking, and you don't want to do that. You have to remind yourself when you're having a bad day that this does not mean a bad life. And you have to stay true to those positive thoughts. Just letting those bad days pass so that way you can get back to your ups. And just realizing that you have the tools and resources at your disposal to make something great out of your life. And chances are it already is great, and it's probably better than what you give it credit for. So that is the first step. It is acknowledging what you already have. And the second thing is just using that as leverage and as rocket power to further yourself in this world and make some kind of personal progress with the resources you have. So if you have a little bit of money saved up, if you have a roof over your head, you can use that to remind yourself that you are grateful, and that will make you feel grateful and more happy than what you already were. And I promise you it works. And then you can use that to set up goals. What can I do to build off of what I already have? And when you have that sort of backwards thinking from what you were thinking about before with being unhappy, you can see that it's pretty comfortable to continue moving forward and building your foundation. You can add fitness, you can add better nutrition. And when you look at, okay, I don't need to get these things to feel happy, it will feel more fulfilling to get those things. And when you acquire more things, it'll feel more fulfilling, because you won't fall into this trap of acquiring something and still feeling unhappy and wondering why nothing ever changes. Because if you never change your thinking, you will always feel unhappy. Even if you become a billionaire, you will still feel empty deep down. So the truth is, happiness is already within you. It is something that can be accessible at any given point. You can wake up the next morning and basically feel happy. It's already within you, but so many people go out and chase it like it's something that somebody else has already found. But you're never going to find it because it's already yours to begin with. It is something that is a construct of your mental state. And if you have to develop a new mental model to become happy, then by all means do it. But you have to destroy those older parts of you that are keeping you in the past and that are keeping you from being unhappy. Because we're all improving ourselves each day. But if you have something to remind yourself, that really makes it feel easier. I know anytime I'm feeling down, I will go and listen to some of my older music, and that will make me appreciate the work that I've already done so far. So that'll give me that much needed motivation to go and make a new track, because I'm proving to myself that I'm capable of doing that. Anytime I feel self-doubt, that's what I do, and then immediately it clears that, because I tell myself I've done it before, I can do it again. That's proving that it's possible. And that's what you can do with happiness. At some point in your childhood, you were happy. You were a kid, you had no stresses about the real world, no bills to pay, none of that. But when we grow up and become adults, we have to learn to navigate the world with all this extra weight on our backs, all these extra challenges that can cause us to change the way we think about things. And that will get in the way of feeling happy. So you have to think about how you were as a kid and realize that it's still possible to feel that way. Of course, albeit with adult world stuff, but it's still possible. It's all within you. You just gotta reflect, do some deep breathing, exercise. There's so many things you can do, but just know that you're probably trying too hard if you're still unhappy after adding a bunch of things to your life. So peace out. Have a good night.